Hello, welcome to my IT 299 and 297 internship interviews at this point for the summer of 2026. Today, I'm joined here by Scott Fluty. How are you, Scott?
Doing good, Patrick. How are you?
Good. We're going to talk to Scott today about his trajectory into IT, advice he'd have for people, and his internship. So, Scott, I'm sure you've heard a lot of these before, but the first question is always, when or how did the IT or the technology bug bite you?
It started in high school, really. So I had a information technology class, well, like a scaled down one, just for high school, just kind of business of here's ideas you can take in life.
Oh, okay.
And one of them was taught by, I think Miss Taylor. I remember her name. So it was more just fix computers here or there, just scenarios of do this, do that, or here's a problem, fix it.
Gotcha.
And well, one time the vice principal of my high school actually needed help with her computer, and Miss Taylor sent me down since I had been working anyway.
Right.
So I helped her out, and it just stuck with me. Just, I can work with computers.
Gotcha. So would that, like having an idea where you live, would that have been like Tulsa High School?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tulsa High School.
So that's cool that you had that opportunity. When I was growing up and went to Wayne, which was considerably, longer ago than you're going to Tulsa, we basically, the most we got was like an IT 101 here, which was like, how do you do Word? How do you do a spreadsheet? How do you do presentations? So it's cool that you kind of had almost like a career-driven, what would you want to do in IT type of thing going on.
It started out like yours.
Okay.
Word documents, and it just kind of kept going, evolving of not just here's how to fix a computer, it's you can do this with the computer. Just
sure.
Different scenarios of fixing, and not just Word, but going into settings and changing, stuff like that.
So, you getting that opportunity to do that, were you already dabbling at the house, or did that become a time where you're like, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I really like this. Can I get some at the house?
That one. I started fiddling with computers at the school, and it just caught on at home. I was like, yeah, I can show you how to do this. And I became the IT man of the house, basically.
Gotcha. Well, I know when I was at Wayne back in the day, if you wanted to be able to use the newest computers, they were all in the library. So my senior year, I became a library assistant, not to help people find books, but so I could work on those nice computers. So based on that opportunity, were you able to find other times to be able to do some IT stuff in school, like after that?
Yeah.
Were there library assistant opportunities like I was thinking about? Like, where were all your old computers?
Well, this was during 2024, 2023, that era. So, and this was right off of COVID. So everyone had a laptop.
Oh, okay. So it was all decentralized.
Yeah, it was that. But it was, like I said, other teachers sometimes was, can you help me with this? And I did. And speaking of the vice principal story, though, she was actually going over the grades during the it was the final exam of the year. And it kind of surprised me that it was like, yeah, you can just have this vital information here, just help me fix it. And so I was just, okay, I can do that.
Right.
And it just...
So in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm probably not supposed to be able to see this, but they're wanting me to help them. So, to foreshadow later on, like it would be like working in a medical field, and you're like, I don't want to see this stuff. I need to help them. I don't need, FERPA, HIPAA, that type of thing based on those regulations.
Because when the call came in, like, and she sent me, it was just, she needs help with her computer.
Right.
Well, when I went in, I saw the screens, and I was like, I know that guy. I know that name. I know that person. And she was like, yeah, this is just for the final exam of the year. I was like, oh, okay. And yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm probably not supposed to be seeing this. Wow. So your high school time finished up. When I graduated high school, the very next fall, I went on to college. Did you do that? Did you take a year off? And at that point, were you thinking computers? Like, what was your mindset at graduation?
Well, to start off, I did go into college right after I got out of high school.
Okay.
At first, I did not know what I really wanted to do. I enjoyed doing computers, but then, life hits you of you can do that or this over here, all that. And at first I thought maybe physical therapy. I have done just something. Mm-hmm. And then...
Was there already someone doing that? Like, were there people that were involved in like the medical field in your life where they were like, this could be useful?
Yes, my dad is actually a nurse.
Oh, okay.
And a few years ago, that I had some like little back trouble.
Sure.
So I went to physical therapy just for a little bit just to help fix me.
So you had some experience there to see what it was like, what they were doing.
So I just thought like, hey, I can go to Mount West for this. And then when I got here, I just thought physical therapy isn't for me. Mm-hmm. What else could I do?
So the PTA brought you to Mount West, so that got you here. But then you were questioning it, and then you happened to see us on the list.
Yes, it was. Just went into what other, careers does Mount West offer? So look around and saw computers. I can do IT.
Okay, at that point, my memory's not that good. Did you see me? How did you pick? Because lots of times they'll call me up and be like, "Hey, can you come talk to a student? They're looking at 3 different paths, and they want somebody to kind of like demystify it for them."
It was on the website, and originally it was cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. And I think I briefly talked to you. You were just. It was like opening day. It's like, yeah, I'm the IT guy, and here's everything. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, you guys are friendly.
Sure, yeah.
And so, I chose cybersecurity first, but then eventually I switched to networking administration.
Makes sense. I don't remember, as a student when I attended what we used to be, we were Marshall Community Town College. I went what would have been the cybersecurity route then. It was the Cisco path. And I just, I didn't have a lot of love for routers and switches. It didn't excite me. And then the Microsoft side did. Did you find similar? Because I've heard it go both ways. I've heard people say, this Microsoft Windows stuff, it doesn't excite me. And they would try the Cisco side, and they're like, oh, I found my heaven. Or I've heard vice versa. So was it that? Were you looking, I can have a Windows machine at the house, but I can't also have a router and switch? Like, what made the choice?
Well, starting cybersecurity, I thought it'd be, you see movies, everything's like, oh, I can stop this hack, I can do all this.
Yes.
And when I got into it, I just thought, I want to work with computers, but just not this side of it. This isn't for me, but I still want an IT career.
Sure.
So I looked into it and saw networking administration, just flipped and just joined.
No, understandable. Well, and, I will say when, people watch all those shows and they see the hackers and stuff, I suppose it could be like analogous to somebody watching an X Games demonstration and seeing a motorcycle guy do flips or whatever. And like, I want to ride a motorcycle and do that. And it's like, well, you would have eventually gotten there, but you weren't going to be doing any like death-defying things to begin with. So that's true. But you found the Windows side, the virtualization side, that side better along the way. Is there any advice you would have for somebody now that you're here at the end of your 2 years about your courses, about coming to Mount West? I mean, like in that same theory, anything where you're at now, knowing what you know, would you have done differently?
Well, to start with me, I'll say if I had to do anything differently, I would have probably gone into networking administration first instead of just cybersecurity. Now, knowing what I know now and could have applied it then, I would have started with this a lot sooner.
Fair enough.
But for advice for others just coming to Mount West in general, it's, it offers so many different paths, career paths, opportunities. But speaking IT specifically, you have network administration, cybersecurity, stuff like that. Cybersecurity is, more someone's trying to get into this, or let's reinforce this network so no one gets in the first place. But networking administration, for me at least, is, like at a school or something of, Johnny has his computer broken. What can I do for you?
Yeah.
And I was just originally getting into IT. I thought, I could, because I had the IT guy at school. I knew him. And I thought I could be doing that. And cybersecurity, like I said, was at first that appeal. And I thought it was like, just part of the whole thing of it would eventually get to, I can work here. And I realized, no, this is a different set of IT than I wanted.
It's true. I'll kind of elaborate and expand on that because I think you're one of the first people that have actually made me have this thought. But if I thought about that, or even related to like a hospital show like they always have on TV, like someone coming to the ER and they broke their arm and they need to have their arm reset or something like that. That's like network administration. Somebody calls you and says, I can't print, my password's bad, that type of thing. And it's true that from a cybersecurity standpoint, when you're trying to like make sure the fences are all secure so the wolves can't break in, that would be almost like the same idea of let's make sure we plan for what happens if there's a pandemic.
Yeah.
Or there's a mass shooting, there's some sort of giant event where suddenly all these people are coming in. And that's not going to be an everyday thing. Like every single day, you're not going to be like, how's that plan going? What is going to happen every day is someone's going to come with a broken arm or a concussion or something like that. So there's a lot of planning when it comes to cybersecurity, like you're saying. And I will say too, you're very much front of the house, customer driven. When you're network administration, some people aren't always. Some people are in charge of server rooms, but ultimately what they do makes changes for people not being able to access the network and stuff. So that is true that when cybersecurity really comes down to it, there's the sexy things you see online where someone's paid to break into a company.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of super important, but could be viewed as boring stuff about like, well, what are we going to do for policy-wise? What if someone forgets their password? What if someone's working remotely? Like, what policies do we have to make sure things are secure? So, I haven't necessarily thought about that. Many times, every day you're just planning, hoping you're not going to get hacked, and that can be a bad waiting game. It's like a hurry up and wait, and then suddenly it's all hands on deck. So I hadn't considered that aspect of it. I just know whichever side somebody comes through, we've recently renamed the programs to all have the aspect of cybersecurity, because what we try to make sure is we teach you how to do something and then how to do something securely to make sure in case there's a what if situation that can be there. So, but that's a really, really good thought that I hadn't actually considered. So you're here at the end of your time doing your network administration program. You've been doing your internship at a hospital. So we talked to a couple people previously. I think Kaylee. Yes, sorry. Kaylee was at a medical place as well. I would think along those lines, you have to keep in mind some stuff such as like HIPAA compliance, that type of thing.
I had to sign that day one.
Yeah. So, I guess before I get too far ahead of myself, had you had a job before you had this job?
No. I want to finish, I am finished with school. Finish schooling, get certificates, then work. I just wanted to not get a job and be like, well, yeah, I can do this and I have to leave. I want to just hit the ground running of I can get a job and keep this job.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Fair enough. So you hadn't had a job before, so IT was your first job. You talked about earlier seeing on TV like hackers and cybersecurity, and then seeing it was different. Did you have any preconceived notions about what it was going to be like to work in IT at a place, and how were those different or shattered?
Okay, so shattered, like you said. So, and what you said earlier, I'll mention this real quick, that you said that networking administration is the more upfront, nice to meet you guys, and cybersecurity is the more in the back of, I'm stay back here. So, and like you said, I prefer that. And at a hospital, that's what they really are. You meet everybody. Hey, I'll fix your computer for you. Let's, And you said shattered. I expected at the hospital to be, you see movies and shows, all that, just big sum. Here's 10 computers just on that side of the room alone for floors 1 and 2, all that. It wasn't that. It was just we had our own little building in the back, and we can just receive calls and just go wherever, and to clinics as well.
Okay, yeah. I think Kaylee had that too, where you weren't necessarily at one big giant building. There was a place out here and a place here and a place here. So in that case, if you're having to go to clinics, you were having to drive. Did they have a company car? Did you use your own car? How'd that work?
They do have a company truck.
Okay.
That where I was the intern, I always rode with everybody, and we are, IT guys are at the main hospital, but then there was, Three Rivers is kind of unique because there's the main facility. Next to it, there's like this 2-story building that has, therapy. There's the guy that will fix like broken bones, stuff like that.
Sure.
And in the main hospital, it's like different stuff. They'll come over if they need to. But
you get a bit of a campus.
Yes.
Yeah.
That there's the main hospital, the 2-story building, and there's like a couple little smaller buildings for like, I remember one, it was like for records, like medical records. The other one was like a director of different clinics.
Sure.
So it was that, like you said, campus.
So, for me to clarify, was there maybe a little doctor's office in Louisa or in Inez too, where instead of people on the drive all the way to the hospital, they could drive there?
Yes.
Okay.
And we've actually visited some of them. Like I went out to them and fixed one of the doctor's computers.
Okay. So you did have the opportunity as an intern to be able to go out there and do that field work.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. So yeah, you have an idea what an implementation is going to be, what an infrastructure is going to look like, and you come in and it's I mean, it can be like, well, I like this style better, or you're like, okay, it's not all Hollywoodized, I suppose. Is there advice you would have for somebody who is starting their IT job? From your place, if you didn't have any job at all, like, is there any tips or tricks you would have for them to kind of make their start be smooth?
Have your ears open, eyes open, just be ready to take in advice. And, you might think, oh, I got this down, and then something just hits you that I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And there was a few stuff of, Active Directory, stuff like that. Is, oh, I know this. And then it was, well, no, that's different for the hospital. I'd never seen that before.
Sure.
And like I said, just be ready to always learn something new.
Yeah, that's a great point. And along those lines, I'll say, we have you all here for 2 years, approximately 45 hours of class. And we do our best to make sure, to kind of use a carpenter analogy, we teach you how to use a hammer, to where if you have like a roofing hammer or a tack hammer, one works like the other ones. We teach you how to use a screwdriver to where you can hopefully. And so, I think about in class how we try to show people how to do virtualization on the Microsoft side or the VMware side. But you may go someplace where they have Oracle. But if you understand one of those languages, you should be able to somewhat be able to like go, oh, well, this is how you say this word in this language, and this is what they call in this one. So we try to make sure to give you all the skills to be able to at least communicate and try to start to decrypt what's out there. So that's that's good advice. Were there any, speaking of things you learned in class, Active Directory, that type of thing, were there any memorable tickets that stand out in your mind, either from I was really worried that day, man, I thought this job was overwhelming, and I got this super simple ticket that I finished in 2 seconds, or anything where you came in and you stepped in and was like, I got this, I know what this is, and then it kind of blew up in your face and you're like, wow, that was humbling, like it was way bigger than I thought. Anything memorable like that?
Like the first one, like it's, oh yeah, I got this.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually for the CEO of the hospital, Greg Kaiser. And he it was like a business trip, something like he was going to be away for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed a laptop like his was down.
Mm-hmm.
So I imaged a new computer. We got it all set up, just, went in, made sure everything of his, I can't think of the name, documents, folders, all that are intact.
Yeah.
And
like all of his user data, basically.
yes, because, he's everyone's boss, so you got to be careful.
Sure. Well, you want to make sure he's prepared, too, when he's going on vacation.
Yeah. And it was just neat to know that even this big, like top dog, everyone needs a little help from IT.
Sure.
And it was just neat to see that not only that, the IT guys can do this, it's that I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I know this knowledge. I know how to fix this. I know how to get it ready. It was just neat to see that for even, the boss's boss.
Yeah.
I can help him.
I mean, I bet that helped boost your confidence a little bit there as well.
It did.
Because we definitely did some imaging in class. And, something along those lines, I would say, I say it every time I have the opportunity to say it. When you're at a hospital, for example, or you're at a law office, or you're at these places that have what's maybe seen as very prestigious professions, it's great to sit back and realize that doctor can do brain surgery, but they still need me to help them with their computer.
Mm-hmm.
And the exact opposite is true. No one's going to ask me to operate on their knee because I don't have that knowledge, but the doctor can do it. So whether it's a lawyer or whatever, like you are as valuable to making sure that company runs because you are there to help make sure that whatever they need from a technology standpoint, they can go ahead and get it going. And then they're there to go ahead and do their job, whether they're an attorney, whether they're an accountant, whether they're a doctor. And so yeah, it's and because I've had students before say like, I don't understand this doctor didn't even know how to like turn off his computer and turn it back on. And I was like, that's totally okay. You're getting paid to have that knowledge for them. They don't need to know that. They need to know how to do brain surgery on you. Do you know how to do that? Like I wouldn't know the first step of doing that. And so like it's humbling to know everyone can be an expert at what they need to be, and we can all rely on each other to make sure we have the correct expert to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So, very good. So, you alluded to this a little bit earlier, but I'll ask you about it. So, you finished your 2 years here. You're finishing up your internship. Next steps for Scott is that you had mentioned you want to look for towards certifications and then look for a full-time position.
Yes. That, I'm going to look into the different certifications, just make sure that, I need that one, or that's something not in my field at all.
Right.
Just make sure. And, of course, I'm open to any job position. I'm looking for that, a hospital setting, a school setting, something kind of familiar since, like I said, I'm right out of college, 2-year degree. So 2 years ago was just high school.
Sure.
Still familiar with school. Like I said, hospital, familiar with it. Or, anything else really. I'm just open to familiarity, but also kind of, like I said, something new.
It sounds like along those lines then, if I'm hearing you right, is that you want to work for an organization's IT.
Yes.
You wouldn't necessarily want to work for Intiva where there's 30 different clients you're getting phone calls from. You'd like to work for a company and help that company in the different departments do their stuff.
Like I said, I'm open to anything, new experiences, but that is my preference. My preference at first, of course, I'm trying to be reliable as possible.
Sure.
That I can do this. I like having structure that it's maybe a new problem might come up, but we have a plan for that. I know how to do that for this problem. Room A has problem 1. Well, I know how to do that.
Sure.
And the clients and stuff, like you said, coming up that, that'd be new to me, but I'd be willing to try it. I just like the structure of it, expecting
you'd like to know what you're dealing with. At a hospital, for example, it's not like you're going to walk in one day and they're like, hey, guess what? They changed the entire network overnight. These are all new programs. But that's kind of what happens when you get a phone call from a client you haven't dealt with. And you have to it's like you have to start a whole new book and research their history and stuff. So I understand that. One nice thing is having this experience to put on your resume. If you are looking at other medical places, you can be like, oh, yes, I definitely signed on day one the HIPAA compliance and the non-disclosure stuff. And I've had experience with a EHR system, but maybe not your EHR system. So you're going to be able to have some experience to lend you some creed there. That's good. And I would say along the lines of certifications, I would start looking, and I say as advice to you or anybody out there, if you have an idea of a field you want to get into, go ahead and start looking for jobs they have out there now. I'm not saying you want to take it right now, but look to see if they're asking for certain certifications. There's a potential that a medical institution may ask for a certification that I don't even talk about in class. I mean, more of a medical-based style certification. There are certifications out there that go into GRC, which is like your governance, your retention, your compliance, or regulation type thing. That may be useful. That's not normally a boots-on-the-ground thing here. But more often than not in this area, it seems to be the number 1 or number 2 certification that everyone asks for as a boilerplate default would be Security Plus. That's a pretty good one because it does say that you have some foundations on how to make sure to securely do your job. And it doesn't have to get too high in the weeds of the cybersecurity aspect, but if you go to work for the government side, like a SOC analyst, something like that, they want Security Plus. I would think if you wanted to work for someone like the VA down here at CK or whatever, Security Plus would probably be useful along those lines. So that might be a useful one to look for. But I would definitely say if you're looking for a particular profession, go ahead and start looking at the job offers. To plan ahead to say oh, well, if I want to do that in a year, maybe I need to start going ahead and building my resume to reflect what they're going to be asking for when I try to apply for that in a year.
Also, I want to throw this in that I was the first IT intern at the Three Rivers Medical Center.
Wow.
They've had interns, of course, but
sure,
for nursing, stuff like that. But it was also kind of neat to see that, hey, I'm the first one in this field doing this.
Right.
I might have opened a door for someone else.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's because now there's a structure in place. It should be you were the trailblazer. There's now a trail that somebody else can actually follow there. So that's cool.
It is doable.
Yeah, exactly. It's doable, and they've got a process now that can be followed. So that's great. I'm trying to think. So, wrapping up here, trying to think about questions, because normally I have an audience, but during the summer, this place is a ghost town. Do you find, I know you did administration, so obviously we were doing software and stuff. Did anything change at the hospital? Did you go, oh, I really like dealing with the the cows, like the computers on wheels, or I really like this, or I really like this. Like a couple of students talked about when they were, like I think of Isaiah talking about Digit 3. He said, I know it's an IT job, but I like installing the stuff in this room. Like I would love to install those lights, or I'd love to install these cameras. Like he became a very hardware guy, and he figured out that's what he wants to go for. Anything like that happened to you?
Yeah, actually, it was a mix, of course, of software and hardware. Sorry about that. Yeah. That there were some printers that when I got there, they were trying to phase out some older printers, and they have new ones. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of neat to be the guy that, I'm here with your printer,
Right.
And when you plug in, you have to type in the IP address, all that. So it's both hardware and software.
Sure.
But one ticket stood out the most was the sleep lab. That it's basically, well, I'm not a doctor. I'm not sure exactly. They monitor
for CPAP stuff, I think.
Yeah, I can't speak.
No, I'm with you. But I mean, I did mine. I did one of those during COVID. What was cool about that was I didn't have to go to a place and sleep on a bed with a bunch of wires on me. I was able to do it all at the house. But I'm sure they're going to have a room where they're monitoring a patient and stuff.
And it was that. Mm-hmm. And it was something to do with the camera and like the microphone that mm-hmm. so they could talk to you. It was a power outage. The hospital, like the generators kicked on.
Sure.
But there was a fault, like whoever plugged it up, it wasn't ready to switch over. Mm-hmm. So we went on and, it's fine now. Like the hospital's up and running perfectly. It was whoever put it in originally just forgot the last step to say if power shortages, switch to generator 2. Gotcha. And it was neat to just kind of go behind the scenes and mm-hmm. see, oh, well, that wasn't plugged up or that wasn't turned on.
Gotcha. That's cool. Well, you should definitely put on your resume that you like to work with printers, because that's, for the most part, that's the bane of most IT people's, existence. So if you're like, oh yeah, I love to put in new printers, they may hire you on the spot there because everyone hates printers. So if you like them, that'll be a good boon for you.
I did more printers there than I did, just normal laptops.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's cool. Any last minute advice, on anything we've talked about, or anything like that didn't seem like it had an organic place to talk about it that you think somebody should know based on your experience and to give them a leg up?
Well, for advice, in the IT field, like I said, expect the unexpected, always be open for something new to happen. And if you think I 100% got this, you don't. Just mm-hmm. No offense, you don't.
Something will come along and like gut punch you or whatever and knock you down a peg.
Yes, because like you said, at the hospital, I was trying to image something and I thought, well, I can get all the name, everything. It was just not working, no matter what I did. And I thought, I know what I'm doing is correct. I forgot to plug in one little switch. And nothing took until I looked down and thought, well, my bad. I thought I knew it. I didn't.
Right. But, I would bet you having that in the back of your mind every other time you do the exact same process, the very first thing you checked
is that switch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
The physical layer. Is it plugged in? So that's true. IT can be a very humbling job. It can be really rewarding. I mean, I have heard of disaster places. I've heard of like toxic places. I'm so happy that all the internship locations we have are not those. They all, want to make sure you all can learn. They want to make sure that, you get the experience you need so that you can go off and become that person eventually. It was helping you. It was mentoring you at some point. So, but yeah, it can be a humbling experience. Even for me, I've been fighting with a server for like the last week trying to figure out some stuff, and I think I figured out Microsoft decided to deprecate something without saying anything. So sometimes it happens even to the people who've been doing it for decades. So, well, Scott, I very much appreciate you coming in and talking to us about your trajectory into IT and the advice you'd have for people coming here or going out there and doing internships. Thank you so much.
No problem, Patrick. Just
yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
No problem. Thank you for having me.